Skromme, and we're here at BakeMark's Training Center. Today we're going to be using our BakeSense Rolled Fondant and gum paste to create beautifully sculpted cakes. Using our BakeSense Rolled Fondant, you can create beautifully decorated and realistic looking sculpted cakes. We have a full line of primary colors in our rolled fondant, as well as dark chocolate and ivory. This is a great way to utilize hand modeling and sculpting for your cakes. Our products come in a 5-pound or 20-pound container. These are ready-to-use products right out of the container. Just need a little bit of conditioning, and I'll show you how to do that next. Here I have our BakeSense Dark Chocolate Rolled Fondant. I need to condition this on the bench before I'm ready to roll and cover my sculpted cakes. Take a little bit of a white fat, massage it into your hands, and then knead the fondant on the bench as if it were a bread dough. This is going to keep your fondant nice and moist. It's also going to take out any air pockets that may have been incorporated, make it a lot easier for you to roll out and then place on your cake. If your fondant is too cold, you can pop it in the microwave at 10 seconds at a time, just to take the chill off of it. Remember that every time you place fondant in the microwave, you will dry it out slightly. I'm looking to achieve a nice, smooth mass, no wrinkles, and I'm ready to go. Do this every time you work with fondant. I'm going to flatten this out into a disc and begin to roll it out. I'm going to use cocoa powder on my bench and just a little bit of cornstarch. I'm going to roll this out to 1/8 of an inch, and then I'm ready to cover my cake. If you have a sheeter in your facility, this goes much easier. I'm my own sheeter. Throughout the rolling process, I need to stop and make sure this is not adhered to the bench. If it feels like it's sticking, either use a spatula and put a little bit more cocoa powder down if you need to. You want to use the least amount of powder in order to not dry out our fondant. And notice that I don't have hardly any powder on the surface of my fondant, and it's still nice and soft. Now I've rolled this out to the right thickness. I want to make sure that it's not stuck to the bench. Now I can go ahead and get my sculpted cake out of the refrigerator. Here I have my sculpted cake out of the refrigerator. I don't recommend having your cakes frozen prior to covering with fondant, or you're going to see some condensation on the surface of the finished cake. This is just nicely chilled buttercream, so it's firm enough to support the weight of my sheet of fondant. I'm going to pick this up, and I'm going to carefully drape it over my sculpture. And you should have this nice and loose because you need to tuck it into the nooks and crannies. The dark chocolate is perfect for this style of cake, as it's going to create almost a suede look when it's done. You need to work somewhat quickly, but also with some skill so you don't tear the fondant. Notice that I pick it up and I place it into the grooves. Think of it as fabric. You never want to waste your fondant in your kitchen, so once I have this nice and clean and trimmed, I save the fondant for the next cake. The excess fondant just needs to be kneaded back on the bench and then wrapped up nice and tight, keeping it away from air. Now that I have the fondant on the shape of my cake, I can go back and put a little bit more pressure to make more of a detailed look for the back of the couch, the arms, and the seat cushion. The best way to embellish our couch dark chocolate cake is to put some throw pillows on it. Here I have a couple colors of fondant that I've worked together, little blues, little green, a little bit of white fondant. Add some gum paste to this, so it's going to give you stability for your actual sculpture. Remember that working with any of the fondant, I need to condition this before I'm ready to sculpt. So I just have a little bit of fat on my hands, knead this down on the table like a bread dough, and that's going to, again, just keep this a nice moist dough, keeps it from cracking. So I'm going to take a little bit of the green. If you feel the fondant begin to stick to your hands, instead of reaching for, say, cornstarch or powdered sugar, grab just a little bit more fat, and that's going to keep the dough from sticking. But I want to roll this so I can have a round throw pillow. You could even make a bolster pillow, however you want to decorate the cake. I'm going to use just a stamp that you can get at a craft store to make a little texture. Pierce the center and put just a small little button using our dark chocolate. A nice way to finish is to give it a little bit of a shimmer using some luster dust. Let's make one more pillow. Take a little bit of my robin's egg blue color. Again, condition the fondant with a little bit of fat on your hands. Let's sculpt this into a square. Remember, it's all these little extras that make your cakes stand out from someone else's. Now I'm going to use a tool that has some grooves on the end of it, just some embellishments. These are modeling sculpting tools I'm using. You can really get creative and use whatever you have in your bake shop. Take another sculpting tool on the sides, just to mark the corners. Again, it's all that extra little detail that's going to make it stand out. The more detail that you add will really help showcase your talents. For more information on our products and recipes, please visit us at yourbakemark.com.